Om Yathagnirdaahika Shaktihi Ramakrishne Sthita Hiya Sarva Vidya Svarupanam Tasmai Shri Pranamamyaham. Dear devotees, we were discussing the Prakrutim Paramam, a hymn on Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi. Already 13 classes we have finished, and 7th verse we are looking into it. In the previous class, we were trying to discuss Ramakrishnagataprana, one who has merged her prana, her energy, her conscious, her life in Sri Ramakrishna. Tannama shravana priyam, one who rejoices in the name of Sri Ramakrishna, one who feels happy, delightful. Tadbhava ranjita karam. And she is the embodiment of that bhava, that mood, that Ramakrishna bhava. Pranamami muhurmuhuh. My salutations to her time and again. So Ramakrishnagataprana. She is to love, she is to think Sri Ramakrishna always. When we were discussing this, I discussed the philosophical point. I hope all of you did understand. Just like the fire and its burning power cannot be separated. Isn't it? So similarly, Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother Sarada Devi both are like Brahman and Maya. Brahman and its power called Maya, both are inseparable. So that's what this Ramakrishnagataprana, this a word, represents, symbolizes that the greatest truth, the Brahman and Maya, are inseparable. And the Shiva and Shakti both are inseparable. That's why Kali is standing on the Shiva. Many times, without understanding this great philosophy, people think that this is a blasphemy. How can Kali can stand on Shiva? Means the greatest truth has been represented in this figure. Their Shiva represents the Brahman, static, and the Kali represents the dynamic power of the Brahman, who is the cause for the creation of the world, the maintenance of the world, and all the dissolution of the universe or the world. Now, and also one more philosophical point I would like to mention with this. The word and its meaning. It is very interesting. Even Western philosophy also has discussed. And in Indian philosophy, there is a called Spotayanavada, a particular school of philosophy. They discuss, they argue that the whole world has come out from the sound. That's why Omkara, we always, anything which if we start chanting, we start with Omkara. Why? Because that Om, there is a primordial sound by which the whole world has been emerged. The Spotanavada says that. Of course, whoever reads, has read the gospel of Jesus, there also he makes a mention that the God created the world, and from the world has come. What a great spiritual truth. Even the Vedic truth has been found even in the gospel, some places, no doubt. So there is a inseparable relationship between the word and its meaning. Say, for an example, 4 people are going. John, Jack, Peter, and maybe Krishna or Sayat. So when I call, hello, John, among the 4 people, all of them may turn around just because they hear sound, but John is the person who reacts, who responds to my call. Oh, hello. Hi, how are you? Why? Because the John, the name, he's been going along with that person. The person and the name, it cannot be separated. Both are go together. That's why in Tantra Shastras, they say Nama and Nami Abhed. The person and the name represent that person, both are inseparable. That's where the Mantra Shastras also say, when we chant the Lord's name, that means you are remembering the cosmic energy, the cosmic power, the universal power. By repeating the Lord's name, that means you are trying to connect yourself through your mind to that universal power. So by chanting the name of the Lord with a concentration, with a devotion, time and again, what happens? Slowly, 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 I will be deriving that cosmic energy, or I will be able to manifest, I will be able to absorb the divine energy. The same thing we can see the relationship between Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother. Both are alike. And once Swami Shantivratananda, who was the direct disciple of Holy Mother, means he was initiated by Holy Mother, and around 10 years he served Holy Mother. Then we all know that in 1920, Holy Mother left her mortal coil, and in later, and by this time Swami Shantivratananda was old enough, the young monks, once they were discussing with Swami Shantivratananda, then said, Swami, when you remember Holy Mother, what comes to your mind immediately at most? So the young novices or the young monks, they wanted to know. So as a reminiscence, they asked this question to Swami Shantivratananda. Swami Shantivratananda immediately said, whenever I remember Holy Mother, utmost character, the nature of the Holy Mother, which comes to my mind, there are so many things, which very prevalent it is for me, is her desirelessness. She never had any desire to this world and world's objects. And same thing we can see in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. If at all, if there was any desire in Sri Ramakrishna, that was only towards the God and God realization. So both were very desireless. That we can see very clearly. And Holy Mother herself, she says to a disciple once after initiating, she tells that, look, Sri Ramakrishna is a Purusha and I am a Prakruti. Purusha means what? Here it is Brahman, the God. And Prakruti is what? The God's power by which the whole creation has been emerged. The whole creation has been manifested. The whole creation is happening. So Holy Mother herself says that Sri Ramakrishna is Purusha, that is the primordial spirit, that is supreme self, and I am the Prakruti, that is primordial power, by which the whole universe has been created and it has been manifested. And now, Sri Ramakrishna is to love Holy Mother, respect Holy Mother, we all know that. And Holy Mother also used to love Sri Ramakrishna so much so that both of them, they were made for each other. But they never had any physical relationship. So the love and the understanding, the mutual respect between them, it was not at the physical level, it was at the spiritual level. So this is what we have to understand very clearly. Though both of them were husband and wife, but the love between both of them, between them, was not at the physical level, that was at the spiritual level, which is very unique. Whoever has studied Bhagavata, they will be able to get this, a glimpse of it. Once, on the full moon day, Kartika Purnima, that is, it comes more or less in the December, where sky is fully clear. And on the full moon day, late night, Krishna in Vrindavan, he started playing the flute. Because it is a village and it is everywhere calm, quiet, serene. The moment when these gopis, the ladies who used to live in the Vrindavan, when they heard the flute of Krishna, someone are feeding milk or food for the children. Someone are caring their husband. Someone were serving their mother-in-law, father-in-law, or aged parents. And someone were going to bed. But once, the moment they heard the Sri Krishna's divine flute, divine music, they left all their work in between, and all of them started running towards the sound where they are hearing. They came in search of Krishna, and they started hearing Sri Krishna's sound, and they got immersed completely. See, that was the divine call which attracted them. And all of them are married people. They had their own physical husbands, biological husbands, and they had their children, family, all of that. And they used to love Sri Krishna so much so that even they forgot the world. They forgot their husband and their children and the family. Everything they forgot. They were dedicated to Krishna. This is what here, which resembles the pure divine love. Love for love's sake, whatever we say, that the highest concept, Parabhakti, in Narada Bhakti Sutra we have discussed, probably whoever have heard my talks on Narada Bhakti Sutra, you will be able to correlate here. So that is what Parabhakti, supreme love, which is pure in character. So this Ramakrishnagataprana, that resembles that pure love, divine love. What is the nature of it? Love for love's sake. I love God. I devote some time to God. I pray. I meditate. I try to do some spiritual practices. I may visit some religious places, temples, worship places, all these things. Why? I want to be good, fine. And by doing all these things, I am praying, oh God, please give me enough money, give me good family, good job, and then let there be no problems in my life. Let there no be any adverse circumstance in my life. And of course, that is not wrong. I'm not saying wrong. But most of the time, we think God. Why? Because we are motivated to fulfill our mundane desires. So we use God to fulfill our desires. This is the first step. And some people, they think God, they pray to God to know what is right and what is wrong. What is the secret behind this universe? Who am I? What is this nature of the God? Jignasu, one who is desirous of knowledge, desirous of the ultimate truth. They also pray to God. They also seek God. And some are there. They don't want anything. Just they want to love God for love's sake. They can't do anything else other than loving God. Or other than loving God, they don't seek anything else from the God. Now these gopis were of such nature, of such character. They used to love God, love Krishna just for nothing. Just because they used to love Krishna, that's a love for love's sake. This is the highest devotion, highest love, supreme love, pure love. And in the Sages of India lecture, Swami Vivekananda says, the gopis of the love of the gopis, which has been described in Bhagavata, that is, which is much superior even to the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita. Because in Bhagavad Gita, step by step, Krishna tells or gives the philosophy and knowledge to Arjuna. Whereas in the Bhagavatam, the pure love, the supreme love of the gopis is something supreme and which cannot be compared to anything. That's what Swami Vivekananda says, which is very unique in nature, and many times we don't understand. And sometimes some of the people, they make a very slang remarks on this gopis love, because they have got body consciousness always, body conscience always, so they can't understand this supreme, divine, pure love. Now when we say Ramakrishnagataprana, she had merged herself in Sri Ramakrishna. She used to love Sri Ramakrishna so much so that they were inseparable. What does it resembles? What does it signifies? What does it represent? It represents the pure divine love that is called Parabhakti. And there is a Kabir Doha. Kabir is one of the great saints in India. He was from the Weaver community, from Muslim Weaver community. He was a poor person, no doubt. He worshipped Lord Rama. His Ishtadevata, chosen deity, was Rama. He was a great saint, no doubt. And he makes a beautiful poem. Kabir Gali Ati Sankari Tame Davuna Samai Jab me tha tab hari nahim ab hari hai mem nahim. Means I will give the English translation of it. It is a wonderful thing. The street of love is very narrow. We have got all motorways, we have got big roads and 4 lanes, 6 lanes, 8 lanes and all, isn't it? But here he's saying the path which takes to the God, it is very narrow, it seems. How much narrow it is? 2 people cannot pass through at the same time. The path, the road which takes to the God, it is so narrow, even 2 people cannot travel. 2 people cannot walk simultaneously. Forget about vehicle and all. 2 people cannot walk, such a narrow. And afterwards he explained beautifully. He gives a reason why he's saying that. Why is he thinking like that? When I was, there was no God. When I was, there was no God. Now there is God, but I am not. But now there is God, I am not. What a great idea. What a great sublime idea. When we see God and the spiritual path, it is all universal. It should be very, broad, we think. But now Kabir, the greatest saint, is saying that the path which takes to the God is very narrow. Simultaneously, parallelly, 2 people cannot walk. Why? Because when I was there, when I am walking, God could not stay there. God was not there. But when God was there, I was not there. Means when I was thinking, I, this I belongs to body, mind, individuality, with my ego, with my achievements, then God was not there. Then slowly, with this individualness merged in the universalness, that universal truth, so the God, the supreme truth, the God alone stays, and this individual is no more. Just like the river is merging in the sea. When the river is there individually, it had its individuality. When it got merged in the sea, then it lost its individuality. So when God is there, I am not there, means what? That individual consciousness is merged in the supreme consciousness. Again, what a greatest Advaitic truth. So that greatest Advaitic truth has been beautifully written, composed in this one small, in a word, Ramakrishnagataprana. Then Tannama shravana priyam. She always rejoices by hearing the name of Sri Ramakrishna. A lover always rejoices by thinking of him or her, by remembering his name or her name, by remembering their associations. They might have gone to a park, they might have gone to a seashore, they might have gone to see some things. Both of them, they have spent some time. So that remembrance gives a lot of joy. This is what in physical level we see. Here, it is not that, it is the divine love, pure love, unselfish love. That love at the level of consciousness, at the level of self, or at the level of spirit. That is what we have to understand. Even how much this love, it is very difficult for us to sometimes understand. Only when we read the life, when you read the life of saints and the great devotees, then only you can understand. Then, Ramakrishnagataprana Tannama shravana priyam Tadbhava ranjita karam. Once, I think the same thing, if you remember, when this particular verse, when Swami Abhedanandaji was reciting, then before completion, when he raised his head, when he saw there was no Holy Mother, instead of that, in the place of Holy Mother, Sri Ramakrishna had appeared. Means what? Holy Mother herself was manifesting as Sri Ramakrishna. Means again, one spirit, one energy, just in 2 channels, are in these 2 bodies. Because when she heard this voice or these particular words, immediately she remembered her real nature and she started manifesting herself with like Sri Ramakrishna. And the attendants, many attendants who used to leave with Sri Rama, with the Holy Mother, many times they have said, after Sri Ramakrishna's leaving this empirical world, many times they have seen that Holy Mother behaving or just like talking, and even sometimes her physical postures, physical outlook was appearing as like Sri Ramakrishna. That means what? Again, both are inseparable. One truth appearing in two different bodies. And when Sri Ramakrishna was asked by Holy Mother, how do you look at me? How do you look at me? Sri Ramakrishna instantly said, the Bhavatarini, the Kali, the goddesses who is in the temple, and the lady who gave me my birth, and now the lady who is pressing my legs, that is Holy Mother Sarada Devi. All three are one and same for me. Means Sri Ramakrishna used to see Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi as Mother Kali, not as a wife. And when Sri Ramakrishna left his mortal coil, when Holy Mother heard this news, immediately she said, "Oh Mother Kali, why did you leave me?" You see? So here Kali represents not a person, Kali represents the highest truth. Kali represents the highest power, primordial power. So Sri Ramakrishna is looking the mother, Holy Mother as Kali, and Holy Mother is looking or seeing Sri Ramakrishna as Kali. So the greatest Advaitic truth. They're using the word just Kali or Rama or Krishna, that's immaterial. The highest philosophy is what? Both of them are seeing each, that highest truth as the Brahman or the Shakti, that is the primordial power. That's why both are inseparable. Then Tannama shravana priyam. She used to rejoice when she used to hear Sri Ramakrishna. If you want to go near Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi, if you want to please Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi, you need to praise her. Just you remember Sri Ramakrishna, just you speak about Sri Ramakrishna, just you try to repeat the name of Sri Ramakrishna, you will get the infinite grace from the Holy Mother. Because her bhava, her mood was completely Sri Ramakrishna bhava. Now sometimes our bhava, our mood will be body conscious. And I will be thinking, the person whom I like, maybe father, mother, friend, would be children, or someone else. So our bhava will be representing with that particular person, with that particular thing. Here Holy Mother's bhava is what? Sri Ramakrishna bhava. What is that Sri Ramakrishna bhava? That is again Brahma bhava. Means the self, the supreme self bhava. That you have to understand. And this inseparability, when it is possible for us to achieve, for us to attain. You know, when we start leaving ourselves for the God's sake. So this is very important thing. Probably, again, if you ever heard Narada Bhakti Sutra classes mine, you'll be able to link here now. Narada says once, what is bhakti? When explaining the bhakti, say, Naradaha tu tad arpita akila acharata tad vismarane paramam vyakulata iti. Means, he is explaining the devotion as total dedication of all actions at the altar of the Lord and excruciating pangs at the moment of forgetfulness of the Lord. Whatever we do, everything is offering at the feet of the Lord. And if I cannot remember the God even for a moment, I feel pain. There's a story, I think, which comes in Bhagavata. A crow was feeling very thirsty. Nearby there was a water source, but it is not ready to go and have the water. And it is suffering because of the, lack of water, and its body is getting dried up and some other problems. Then someone says, "Oh crow, my dear, why are you suffering? There is a nearby water source itself, near to you. Why don't you go and have a sip of water so that this problem can be handled?" The crow says, "Yes, there is a water source, there is no doubt. But if I go and if I start sipping the water, for that so much moments, few moments, then I will not be able to repeat the Lord's name. That's why I am not ready to go and sip the water. See, this is an extreme case. That's fine. But you see, so much inseparability between the God's consciousness and that's what which we have to understand. So when we have got that supreme craving for God, then that is called Vakulata. And Sri Ramakrishna says, when we get that Vakulata craving, then we get a God realization. And this Holy Mother's, it is not craving, it was natural for her. I mean, she used to love Sri Ramakrishna so much so that every work, whatever she used to do, everything for Sri Ramakrishna. Here there is a subtle things which we have to understand. We do a lot of work, we do many works, and we offer the fruits of action to the Lord as an offering, Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, offering the fruits of action under the feet of the Lord. Now, this is what we have to practice. By practice, continuously practicing, what happens? We reach a stage, whatever we do, everything will be doing for the God's sake, Lord's sake. I think whoever has studied the Saint Francis of Assisi, there we can see. Whatever he used to do, everything he used to do for Lord's sake. All the great people, even in the Sri Ramakrishna's life, if you see, he used to tell, if mother wills, it will happen. Means his individual ego has been merged in the cosmic ego. So there is no individuality there actually. So whatever they do, everything is for God's sake. So that is the highest thing which we have to reach. Now in the Holy Mother's life also, whatever she used to do, everything was for Sri Ramakrishna's sake. She never had her own individual desire. She never had any individual cravings, either for name, fame, power, position, or for some, wealth, nothing. She lived for Sri Ramakrishna. She worked for Sri Ramakrishna. She breathed even for Sri Ramakrishna. Again, here Sri Ramakrishna, you may take it as a personality, divine personality. Rather, I take it as the supreme truth actually. God conscious living, God centered living. That is again great truth has been represented by symbolically by this Tadbhava ranjita karam. She was, covered with. She was the embodiment of the Ramakrishna Bhava. So what is that Ramakrishna Bhava? That is what Brahma Bhava. So what is that Brahma Bhava? The mood of consciousness. I am Sat, I am existence. I am Chit, I am that awareness, pure awareness. Ananda, I am that bliss absolute. So thinking that working. Even in Krishna, he says in Bhagavad Gita, Pashyan, Shunvan, Sprushan, Jigran, Ashnan, Gachan, Swapan, Shvasan, Pralapan, Visujan, Grundan, Vunmishan, Nimishan. You see, you talk, you hear, you eat, you sleep. Whatever you do, everything for God's sake. So that's what Tadbhava ranjita karam, pranamami muhurmuhuh. She used to live on the level of that conscious, the conscious of the Brahman or the self, and she used to do everything for the God. So here we can understand the two levels. One is she used to love Sri Ramakrishna so much so that all her works were centered in and around Sri Ramakrishna. That's why you see in Vodbodhan, she used to sleep in the temple, in the shrine itself. The place, the house where she used to live. Whoever had been Calcutta, you will be knowing that. So that generally in the worship place, we don't sleep. That is meant for worship, meant for meditation, meant for prayers. But she used to worship and she used to sleep there only. Why? Because she didn't want to separate herself from Sri Ramakrishna. So this is at the empirical level, at the personality level. From the highest philosophical level, from at the sublime point of level, this means what? She and Sri Ramakrishna, both cannot be separated. Both have got that same bhava. What is that bhava? The Brahma bhava. The Supreme Self's bhava. Because both are inseparable. The Brahman and the Shakti. The Purusha and the Prakruti. Just like fire and its burning power. Now, here, one important thing which we should take from this. There is a corollary. Ramakrishnagataprana. Our mind was always fixed in Ramakrishna. Now, what should we learn? What can we take home message from this particular verse? Means we should also try to think and try to lead the life for God's sake. We should try to do from morning to evening as much as possible our work to fulfill, to please the God. Ishta Devata Gata. If we have got chosen deity, our action should be centered and in and around that God. Oh God, I am doing for you. I am walking. I think Shiva Aparadha Kshamapana Stotra, or in one other stotra, Adi Shankaracharya says, I am walking. What is that? That is circumambulating the God. I am talking. What is that? That is praising the Lord. I am eating. I am offering the food for the Lord who is inside. I am sleeping. That means what? God is at rest for God's sake. So whatever, from every small action, a simple action, everything is for God's sake. So if we can start putting into practice, then what happens? Whole our life will be divinized and spiritualized. Then no action will be secular action. No action will be which creates difference, which creates separation away from the God. Either you are eating, or you are sleeping, or you are drinking, or you are chatting with some people, or you are doing some other work, everything can be divinized. This is what we call spiritualizing every day, spiritualizing every minute, spiritualizing every moment. Tadbhava, ranjita, karam, that's what it says. So keeping that Sri Ramakrishna, keeping our own chosen deity, keeping that God in the center and doing all our work. So this has been beautifully told by Sri Ramakrishna. Like hold a pillar in one hand and start circumambulating. When we are small and all, we used to play. We used to hold a pillar and we used to make rounds, fast rounds, just as a game, as a fun, as a play. Till we are holding up one hand with the pillar, then there was no chance of falling. So similarly, if we can hold from one hand the God, and in one hand, if we can start doing work in our day-to-day life, then there is no there is no chance of falling. There is no chance of falling from the truth, falling from the highest goal. Means God-centered life, God remembrance life will be able to achieve. Now the question may come, what do I am going to get from that? What I am going to achieve? The problems will be reduced. You will get more and more happiness. You will be able to achieve more and more bliss. Then instead of living at the level of the body and the senses at the physical level, slowly you will live at the level of ideas or the level of thoughts. First emotions. From the emotions, slowly you will live at the level of ideas and thoughts. From the level of ideas and thoughts, you will start live at the level of spirit or the self. I think there's one interesting story. Albert Einstein, once he was supposed to go to a function. So that function was represented, it was a high-level function. I mean, the president and the prime minister, the governors, chancellors, Nobel laureates, and some great notable people, you were supposed to come to that function, and he was invited to give a talk there. So morning, he got up, he finished his ablutions, and he finished his breakfast. His wife provided, and he finished his breakfast, and he had washed and clean, ironed cloth. He wore, and he was about to leave his room. Then the lady, his wife, comes, and she sees, and he asks, Mr. Einstein, are you going with this dress to that function? He looked after the dress from top to bottom, and he said, yes. Then the wife asked, how can you go with this dress? Then Albert Einstein, he saw once more from top to bottom, and he saw front and back sides. The dress is completely okay. There is no, the dress is not torn, nowhere it is shabby, or it is dirty, anything. It is neat, clean, ironed. Albert Einstein said, yes, I'm going with this dress. What is the problem with this? It looks decent, it looks clean. It is washed once, and it has been ironed by you only. Then what's the problem with this? Then she said, yes, of course, there is no problem with the dress. It is not, there is no dirty on that, or anywhere there is no taunt or no. But this is a bit old. So you have got some more dresses which are new. So you could have used that type of dress. So generally, when we go to any function, we try to use the best dress, the new dress, etc. So she expects that there are some better dresses which are new in nature and they're better also. So why can't you wear them? Because you are going to such a big function. All the notable people are coming. The leaders of the community, of the country, all of them are coming. Then Albert Einstein understood what does his wife means. He listens and he laughs. And he tells, look, I am not going to a fancy competition, fancy dress competition. If I was supposed to go to fancy dress competition, whatever you said, it would have been right. I am going to give a talk. And people are coming to listen to my talk. Of course, in the name of decency, I have to go with a decent dress. And which this dress is quite decent. And I don't think people should have any problem with this dress because they are not coming to see my dress. They are coming to listen to my talk. So probably they will be bothered about my knowledge, if at all, or with my ideas and with the expression, if at all, not with my dress. That's okay. He said and he left. You see, what is the approach, perception about the dress? Albert Einstein's perception, and what was the approach or the perception of Albert Einstein's wife? So when we live at the level of physical level, then we give a lot of importance to all these things. Small disturbance from husband or wife, from children, or from relatives, or from friends, or from colleagues, our mind gets terribly disturbed. Stress, strain, uneasiness, lack of sleep, all these things come into picture. All these things creeps in. But when your mind goes more and more above, then all these problems ceases to exist. You are not really perturbed. You are not really disturbed. Okay, so what? Because your mind has transcended. So Tadbhava ranjita karam. She was in that Brahma Bhava. She was in that divine mood always. That's why many things they didn't disturb her. She never had any good house to stay. She never had riches. She never had good saris, even Sri Ramakrishna's time. After the demise of Sri Ramakrishna, initially, she had 2 or 3 clothes only, and that too many were torn. She used to put knot and with the help of a, thread and the needle, she used to stitch it time and again. She never went and asked anyone for the new dress. And she has to husk her own paddy. And sometimes she never had money even to buy salt. Just with that paddy husked boiled rice and with that some greens, whatever she grew, she used to eat. Today, we all costly saris we put on her portrait, but she never had proper good saris, even good clothes during her lifetime. But she was never morose. She never cried. She never commented. She never lamented. She never complained. She was always happy. If at all, if she cried for the disciples. She cried for the devotees. She cried for their children, for her children. Children, not biological children. The children means whoever came to her, took the shelter, who were surrendered. She only felt for them. If at all some tears had rolled down on her cheeks, because she was worried about the plight of their children, of their devotees or devotees. But she never bothered. She never cared. She was never morose and unhappy about her physical status. Why? She was living at the level of the divinity all the time. So many times, these worldly problems we cannot solve. Only we have to transcend. Tadbhava ranjita karam. So when we can go to that level, what happens? All these worldly problems ceases to exist. Maybe one more story just I will tell, and I will end this verse particularly thinking about Ramakrishnagataprana. A devotee by name Ashramitra, I think Ashramitra. He had come to Jairambati, that is the village of the birthplace of Holy Mother Sarada Devi. And Somehow he had got some photos of Holy Mother and he managed to get few prints of that. He had few prints of Holy Mother's pictures, which were rare indeed in those times. And one of the picture he gave to Holy Mother. And imagine, Holy Mother saw her own portrait and she touched that her own portrait to the head. In India, of course, there is a reason for that. There is a philosophical reason for that. The Guru stays in the sasara, in the tip portion of the head. That's why this portion is considered as very sacred. And whenever we offer food, we offer the food like this. We keep like this. Means we are offering the food for Guru, or we are offering the divine also says there, Lord. So we are offering the food to the Lord and we consume. And when we show some respect, that's why we bow down with the head. Means we are showing that respect. It's a sign of respect. And some great things, some divine things also we touch to our head because it is a sign of respect. Now, when this Ashwamitra gave the portrait of Holy Mother Sarada Devi, she is touching that portrait, her own portrait, to the head. This looks very hilarious for this Ashwamitra. I mean, he felt that her own portrait she's touching to her forehead, just like any gods and deities. It was a fun for him, but out of respect towards Holy Mother, he controlled his laugh. Then she gave back that portrait to the Ashwamitra. Then he inquired, Mother, if you don't think, I would like to ask a question. She nodded her head. See, this is our own picture. Why did you touch to your forehead as a symbol of respect or whatever? And now he started laughing. And now Holy Mother, as a bashful nature, just like a child, with that innocent child of 3 or 4 years, or maybe 5, 6 years, as a just innocent child, with that innocence, she started speaking. She started telling, yes, it is mine only. It is whose else? It is mine only. This portrait is whose else? It is mine only. Then why did you touch in the forehead? Because in that picture, even Sri Ramakrishna also there. Externally, if you see, there's the only portrait of Holy Mother Sarada Devi. But she is saying what? Sri Ramakrishna also is there. That's why I touched onto my forehead. Means Ramakrishnagataprana. There is no separation. There are no two things. Holy Mother and Sri Ramakrishna both are inseparable. So that is what. Of course, still we can discuss a lot, all these things. I think this is probably enough of this verse. Now we will go to the next verse. Pavitram charitam yasyaha, pavitram jivanam tatha, pavitrata swarupinni, tasmai kurmo namo namaha. Pavitram charitam yasya. You are of noble character. Pavitram jivanam tatha. Your life was so pure as well. Your life is ever pure. Pavitrata swarupinne. You are the embodiment of that pavitrata, that purity. If the purity has taken a particular form, palpably, then how does it look? It looks like Sri Sarada Devi. Tasmai kurmo namo namaha. O Mother, I bow down to you time and again and again. Why? Because you are the incarnate of purity. You are the purity incarnate. And what is this purity represents? The purity represents again the divinity. And we all know that how difficult to be pure. Physical purity, mental purity, intellectual purity, ethical purity, spiritual purity. Physical purity we can understand. Daily taking bath and wearing the fresh clothes and keeping hygiene physically. Or this we can, to a certain extent, we can maintain. No, mental purity, without having ill thoughts, without having negative thoughts. Then ethical purity, without telling lies, without cheating anyone, without thinking something bad about someone else, or so many things. And spiritual purity, I'm supposed to think that I'm a self, I'm the devotee of the Lord. Instead of that, I'm thinking body, mind, thoughts, senses, world and its objects, house, people, etc., etc. So much impurities we have got. That's why after listening so many lectures, we are unable to perceive, we are unable to experience the divine. Why? Because of that impurities, we are unable to experience the divine. So it is a lifelong process. It is a few lives process to clean that impurities. We have to study, we have to think of God, we have to do repeating the Lord's name, meditating Lord's name, praising the Lord's name, doing devotional practices, religious practices, spiritual practices, selfless action. All these things are why? Because to pure our mind, to cleanse our mind, so that the reflection of the divinity, the manifestation of the divinity gets completed. The experience of the divinity is possible then only. So all our lifelong struggles is what? To clean our mind, to make the fittest instrument so that we can experience the divine. We can be the recipient of the divine grace or the Lord's grace. But whereas if you see in the Holy Mother Sarada Devi, she was the purity incarnate. Her life was full of purity. Her body and mind was full of purity. Her thoughts, her ideas full of purity. Her desires were full of purity. There is a one thing. This is a general meaning which we understand. And otherwise, that purity comes from when? It comes from self. It comes from Chit. It comes from Ananda, or it comes from that Brahman. Because she was always thinking of that Brahman, Brahma Bhava. 99% purity with that Brahma Bhava, 1% only with that Sattva Rajas Tamas, or only without 1% of Maya. Because just to stay in this body, that's all. So for them, the difficulty was to bring their mind down. Our difficulties are to take our mind above. So that Pavitrata Swarupini, she's the embodiment of that purity. This Pavitrata, one is, the general meaning is of purity, and the deep meaning, when you read, when you think deeply, you'll be able to understand that purity is deduced out of the self. It is deduced out of Brahman. It represents that consciousness. Then only one can be pure. Otherwise, how much ever we can try to lead the pure life, somehow or other, some impure thoughts, impure things, it may come here and there. At least 0.00000001 at least may come. But when we live at that level of spirit, when we experience and when we perceive and when we live at that level of spirit, then purity is well established and it is assured. And what does it mean? How can we achieve? And how it was reflected, how it was practiced in Holy Mother's life? Let us try to understand in the next class. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.